Unfortunately, tonight we won't have the opportunity to share many situations that might present while working in real estate. Nor will we have the time to discuss a lot of specific resources, but we hope to be able to share more information with you in the future. In the meantime, we encourage you to check out the National Association of Realtors website on realtor safety. Our Realtor and Consumer Education Committee believe, as well as our guest speaker, in positive coming from a negative situation. And if we can save just one life, then our efforts are worth it. Sharing his story tonight for the first time in Missouri, please give a warm welcome to Carl Carter, Jr.
I think I'm good. Hi, everyone. So sorry for the bit of delay. Donna, can I get your help, please? Do you mind handing me my... I'm on a leash. Do you mind...
At least I wasn't singing.
Will you give me that slide advancer, right? Yeah, right there.
Oh, you almost had it.
Oh, what a night. Oh, well, I'm honored to be here. I am your neighbor to the south. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm here to talk to you about my sweet mama, my best friend. And it's a yucky story. It's a yucky story for me to tell, but it's a powerful one, and I think that it's one that we can learn from. And it's good to see good come from such tragedy. My mom, her name is Beverly Carter, and that's her signature. And I brought a few of these buttons, by the way, if you'd like one. Just not that you would wear this every day; that would be awkward. But but this is actually her signature. And so, anyway, it's just a way that you could to think of her and think of keeping yourself safe, so that a family member of yours is not in this same situation in the future. Just a few disclaimers. I'm here on a mission because even though I don't know you, I care a lot about you, and I want to see good come from this. This is not a mission of fear or to draw paranoia. It's not what this is about, okay? It's just about tightening up a little bit and recommitting to being safe, because unfortunately there are bad guys out there. So I'm having to use a little bit of an older presentation because of our glitches. I mean, I essentially had to create a laptop up here. But there are pictures that unfortunately weren't able to transfer across and what we had to do to make this work. But there are pictures of me and my mom. My mom was 16 when she had me, and she had 3 sons. She was married to my dad for almost 35 years when she was taken from us. She had a decent, she wasn't in real estate maybe as long as some of you have been, but she had been in real estate for about 12 years. And she was really successful. And you all know how hard this profession is. It really takes a special person with a fire in their belly, because, I don't know about you guys, but on my commute home every day, I pass by the real estate schools for everybody taking their pre-licensure work. And the parking lots are always full with people that are bright-eyed and dreaming of making it big in real estate. And it takes special folks that can make it big. And my mom had done really well. At times, she was, in the top 10 in the state of Arkansas for agents. And I'm not saying that to aid, I'm saying it to brag on her, because I miss her and I love her and I'm proud of her. But we're not talking about a rookie here. We're not talking just somebody that just got reckless because they just wanted to make a sale. She was careful and she was cautious, and she had a husband that, much to my annoyance, my sweet dad, he was always one of those husbands like, where are you? Where are you going? When are you going to be home? And so she was very mindful of those things, but she was still taken from us. So this is what it's all about tonight. And it's about raising awareness. I always joke that I had for a little bit a Fitbit app, and now I have this Apple Watch. And so it's like, it tells you how many steps you've taken or how many you haven't taken. And so it's just that awareness to do better or just completely ignore it. The choice is yours. And typically I mute this for the day so it can stop telling me that I'm lazy. Oh, goodness. Before I tell you about, this is the property that my mom was taken from. And this picture is just a Google image. And I need to go out there to the spot and just take a different picture. Because what I dislike about this photo is that, you know, Google took this image on a cloudy day. It's very ominous looking, kind of looks like a crime scene. But this is a house just like any other. My parents lived, this is lakefront property. My parents lived on that same lake. So any given weekend, we could, you know, be out there on the lake back behind this property. Commonplace. Was rural. But definitely, you know, Mom had to drive by the street that this house was on every single day. Just 4 doors down from this property is where my mom's pastor lived. This particular property, though, was foreclosure, no utilities, been abandoned for quite a while. Okay. And so just to rewind a little bit to tell you what had happened up to the events that led to this appointment is that this is literally, but just sidebar, because of the lights, I can't see any of you, so I feel like I'm talking to myself. Oh, thanks. I didn't mean for you to do anything. It's actually kind of a coping mechanism. That was good. I'm sorry, I'm goofy. But my mom had that particular day had been like so many days and like nights, like your families are home right now, like when are you going to get out of that class and come home? But Mom had been in continuing ed, and y'all are the meetingest, trainingest people. And I'm going to real estate school next month. It's like, I should know better, but, you know, I'm going to join you. But she had been in a class, and they had done a raffle, and she had won $50, and she was tired. And she called my dad, and she said, hey, I'm over this class. I've been in there all day, and I've got to show a property. And then I'm going to take this $50 that I won in this raffle at this training event, and then I'll take that money and get dinner, and then I'll be home. I mean, a day just, I'm sorry about that, a day just like any other. But what had happened though is the events leading up to that, she had heard from this couple, these two people. So here's the story. Husband, wife, moving in from Missouri, and they were cash deal, relocating because of work. And Mom had kind of positioned herself as kind of the relo, you know, go-to, one of those in her office. And so she was like, yeah, I can help. Mom had done a number of things right. And I want to highlight on it because we don't want to just tell a story and not learn from it too. But, you know, she had not only told my dad. Dad knew all about this couple. They're moving in. I got to show them these properties. She had told her coworkers about it. Mom was real old school, and I made fun of her for it. She kept a paper file on all of her clients. And so, you know, that when she had talked to them, the types of properties they were interested in, Mom always, another thing I thought was odd is that as she would go to show properties, how many of you have a paper file that you write the MLS numbers down? Did any of you do that? One of the biggest pieces of evidence in the trial against the bad guys that took my mom was that. And so had a great paper trail, very organized lady, but very paper-based. And, of course, told her coworkers about it. Even told her coworkers that she was showing that specific property, just like she had told my dad that night. Okay, lots of good going on there. We need to have buddies. Okay. So whenever what I just call them the bad guys, just because it's easier, but when the bad guy, the husband of the husband-wife, called my mom, he said, hey, we're interested in this specific property. And she knew exactly which one he was talking about. And she did another great thing. She made up a company policy right then and there on the phone. And she said, I am so sorry, but my company policy prohibits me from showing you this property alone because it's in a rural area. Really sorry about that. What are you going to do? Okay. Another lesson for all of us. Ever feel uncomfortable, anything's weird, make up a company policy. Okay. The problem with this story, though, is that he said, I'm sorry. He counters her immediately, and he says, I'm sorry to have caused you alarm. Hands the phone to his wife. Oh, Lord Jesus. Did we break it again? Did I do it? I did. It's got to be me, right? I'm on a leash. Okay. So let's keep going. I'm breaking up with that projector. Somebody in this room is not living right, and it's probably me, but yeah, we're good. I mean, okay. The problem with this story, though, where the story goes wrong, and I think where a lot of people would have made the same decision my mom made, is that the wife gets on the phone and she apologizes. She says, I'm sorry that we caused you alarm. I'll be there too. And so now we have a husband and a wife. And I don't know about how you group people or profile things or profile bad guys if you do that. I know I'm bad to do it, whether right or wrong. And Mom decided, and I think I would have too, that this is a husband and wife. They want to see a property. I've spoken to both of them on the phone. This is legit. And so they set the appointment for 6 o'clock. Had to, it was in the fall, it was in end of September, so they had to, view the property before it got dark. And Mom got to that house beforehand, just like you all do, right? And, there are lessons, and, let's just assume she did all these things right. She went in, she kind of scouted it out, made sure there was nobody there, no squatters. We have issues with those sometimes. Maybe she even noticed the entrances and the exits and planned a method of escape. Maybe she did those things. Always good to be mindful of the houses that we show. But a critical moment came, though, is at 6 o'clock when a car pulls in the driveway and it's just the husband. And Mom met him at the door, that big, beautiful smile, and as he was approaching her, he was apologizing. He says, I'm so sorry, my wife couldn't make it. She got caught up. But she has her cell phone with her, and she's going to be it's going to be as if she's here. So she's going to be talking to you, texting you, and if, as she has questions, if you'll send her pictures of different rooms and kind of explain what's going on, it'll be, though, she's digitally with us. And which sounds a little suspect, right? Okay. It's so hard. Okay. So, those words that he said, the excuse that he gave, they either put my mom at ease, or when that instinct kicked in, and I fully knowing her and knowing that she's just like so many of us, whenever he approached that door that day, there was a sinking feeling right here because she was like, this isn't what we agreed on. Dude, what is this? Okay? Maybe it was intense, maybe it wasn't. That we don't know. But we do know that whatever he said put her at ease enough, or if it didn't put her at ease, what she did is like so many folks, is that we don't want to be perceived as weak or rude. We don't want to, we think we're paranoid. We don't want to miss this opportunity to make a sale. And so my mom proceeded with showing him the property. And we went to trial this year, and after the trial, we finally got my mom's cell phone back, and on her phone, on her camera roll, the last 10 pictures were pictures of this house, the interior of this house. And we know that as she was showing him the property, that she did in fact text the wife photographs, and there was some exchange going on there, which not only validated their story, but it kept my mom distracted, and to an extent. And before I go further in the story, if you find yourself in that particular situation, if for whatever reason we didn't do proper vetting on the front end, or this is the first time, even though we know better, this is the first time we're actually seeing a client face to face is at a property, okay? If something felt weird or it didn't go as you had planned, there was nothing to say that my mom had to go in that house with him, right? He could go in and just see. We're not talking about something that, there wasn't someone living there that we had to worry about him going in and stealing or vandalizing. Okay? She certainly didn't have to go upstairs, right? And I'll also pause with this. I only tell the story this way so that we can learn from it. She's my best friend, and I can't wait to see her in heaven. So please don't take my words as victim blaming, because she's perfect in my eyes. But let's see if I can do this. When they got upstairs, my mom turned from taking a picture of a bedroom, and the bad guy had ridiculous lime green duct tape just like this, and he had a taser. And he's been very proud of the fact he has loved all of the publicity he's gotten from kidnapping and killing my mother, and he has been very proud to admit that when she turned from taking that picture, he had the taser and the gun and the tape, and he told her that she was about to have a very bad day. And it's at that point for her, game over with that taser. There was no, it was already too far in. There was no, she had been caught off guard. There was no grabbing a cell phone and trying to hit a safety app. There was no yelling for help. There's no hitting your car fob to set off your car alarm. The different things that they tell us to do in panic situations. It was too far in for that. And so he took this tape and he wrapped it around her eye, around her head completely, to obstruct her vision. He did the same to her mouth. He taped her hands behind her back, and he taped her feet. And he then went outside, and he got in his car, and he backed his car up to that house, and he opened the trunk. And all these things we know because either the bad guy told it, the investigators found it out, or it came up in the trial due to eyewitnesses. Well, how do I know about the car being backed up to the house? Well, a neighbor saw it. A neighbor saw that 2 cars were there at this property that she knew was to be vacant. And then one of the cars, guy comes out, dark-headed male, backs a car up to the front door. Okay? She testified in the trial. So our safety, or safety doesn't have to start with or stop with just us, right? If only that sweet lady had said something in the moment, had she called the cops, the outcome may have been the same, and maybe it wouldn't have been. So I would encourage you that, to be that pesky neighbor, that if you see anything suspect, that you either take a picture or you call or report it, because this came far too late. So with that, evil people that we're dealing with here, as he put my sweet mom in the trunk of a black car, he, to prove to his wife that he had done it and their plan was set in motion, he took a picture of my mom in the trunk of that car. and texted to his wife. But in his haste to kidnap this lady, and see, the whole plan of all of this was they saw my mom, they saw her beauty, they saw that they think really, you guys know how it is. People think real estate agents are loaded, right? And so they thought just by my mom's marketing, seeing your face in the paper every Sunday, that we don't know exactly what led them to her, but it had to be the marketing. At least it started there. And there was this perception of wealth. They were wrong. They were bad wrong. We're just a family like anybody else. And a regular old middle class family. But what they did is they saw this beautiful woman that's in the paper. They saw that she drove, this SUV. They found out how they did, I don't know. They found out her physical address where she lived. They searched county records to get the property value of that home. And they built this scenario of this woman is a gold mine, and we are going to kidnap her, and we're going to hold her for ransom and take every bit of money from her family. Problem with that is, though, that their plan up to this point, they had never kidnapped anybody or done anything just like this, heinous, before. But it was all of these little petty crimes to try to just get money out of people, to blackmail people for any host of things, stealing people's identities. They were the waiters that you just fear, you cringe whenever you go to pay at a restaurant and they take your credit card to the back and you're like, please don't go steal my identity. Don't steal my card number. He had a skimmer as he worked at Applebee's. And so you go to eat at Applebee's and he's swiping your card, and then there he has your card information. He uses it. So he still had that skimmer. And so his plan was, let's take this realtor's purse, we'll take every card in it, and we'll just keep the husband pushing money to those cards. And we'll just bleed them dry. Of course, ladies in the audience tonight, do you show a property with a purse over your shoulder? You don't. My mom didn't. Before she went to the house that day, she had locked her purse up in her car. In his haste to kidnap her and put her in the trunk of his car, he drove off with my mother's car still sitting there with the purse inside. So from the second he pulled off, this big plan that targeted this rich broker was already messed up. And so my dad called me, and maybe with your spouses and you've encountered similar situations where work took a little bit longer, or the presentation ran long because they couldn't get the stinking presentation to get up on the screen. Sorry about that. Where they're like, where have you been? It's kind of running late, or kind of schedule getting a little wonky is kind of part of it. And so Dad called me that night. He said, son, I'm texting, I'm calling your mom. She's not replying. And of course, like the first thing, and I feel bad about it now, but it's like I rolled my eyes and I'm like, Dad, when you're not hearing from a realtor, this is a good thing. I mean, they are in a critical moment with a client. We are writing an offer. This is a good thing. Leave her alone. And Dad kept on. And I said, Dad, he said, well, she was showing this property. And I said, well, Dad, you drive over there. I'll drive to her office if it'll make you feel better. She'll be at one of the two. And we both got to our respective destinations same time. And of course, the office was empty. And he gets to this house, and it's just pitch black. But Mom's car is here. And then it all begins. It begins this frenzy of, where did this real estate agent go? Where did Mama go? And so it just started this whole process of Mom just being gone. And you can see this is soybean fields out in the area where Mom was taken. Where we were just searching. She just disappeared. And let me tell you about part of what made it hard to find her was that this couple had been call, texting, and emailing. And so but when they called or text, they were using an app called TextMe that masks their phone number. They were actually just right down the road from us, but this app gave them the ability to match that out-of-state buyer story that they had concocted. And so while we are all out here searching, not knowing what's going on with Mom, praying for the best outcome, there was, of course, a very different side for what she was experiencing. And right after she was taken, the bad guy took her to kind of a remote area, and he made her do the first of what was going to be a series of recordings that were going to be given to my dad to get the money out of us. And so from there, he takes her to their home, the husband and wife's home, and they lock her up in their bathroom. And it's at that point, they're like trying to set the plan in motion, and then they realize, we don't have the purse, the plan's not going to work. And then they start thinking about things that make sense to the rest of us with half a brain, like, well, there's all of this. There have been calls. There have been emails. She's seen your face now. And so it all starts kind of coming together for them like, this was a bad idea. And then, so he's like, well, thinking no one's going to know. This was the perfect crime. So he's like, well, I'll just go back out to the house that night and I'll get the woman's purse. Well, we were already out there, and we were already out there with the cops. And so it's the most eerie feeling is knowing we were standing there huddled in the cold, wondering where Mom had gone, and this bad guy was right next to us. He had come back for that purse. He was stopped by a deputy that testified in the trial on the disappearance of this realtor and if he knew anything about it. He said no, got out there, panicked. So we have to get rid of this lady. That recording that my mom made for my dad, she's essentially just telling him not to call the cops. That if he were to call the cops, it could be bad. This particular recording was actually never delivered to my dad. They aborted their plan before. This was actually just on the cell phone of the bad guy, played during the interrogations. But that stinker, that sweet, sweet lady, at the end of that recording, she told my dad how much she loved him. And specifically, she said, "I love you very much." And I can't imagine how afraid she must have been in that moment. But that she was still, even in that moment, more worried with my dad, knowing how loved he was. So I tell you, I want you to be safe, but if you still have your mama, give her some love, because, man, there's just nothing like a mama. There's also nothing like an idiot brother, so I keep meaning to crop them out. Wouldn't it be awful for me to say, I'm an only son, only child? I didn't tell you this, but my mom was 50 when she was taken from us. And this was her 50th birthday party. And she felt like such a princess that night. It was a blast. It really was. And due to the circumstance of how we lost her and being killed and buried and not found for a few days, we never saw her again. But she felt like such a princess this night. So this is actually what she was buried in. And this is hard to see. And forgive me, I'm not going to try to get too religious on you, okay? Regardless of your faith. This is about an 8-foot tall cross. And as the time approached that it was almost the 1 year since we had lost Mom, for whatever reason, I know it's kind of weird, I just wanted to be in the spot. I wanted to be alone in the spot where my mom took her last breath. And private property, this guy had broken into and taken my mom and did what he did. And I went there, and it was the backside of an old concrete, I don't even know what to call it, concrete plant where they mix the concrete, they wash out the trucks. And on the backside of that property is where she was murdered and buried. And you can see the concrete edge right here of that washout. But I tell you, it wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't a company trying to brand this to make themselves look good. A bunch of construction workers erected this beautiful cross where my mom took her last breath. And I know that doesn't have anything to do with being safe, but I'm telling you about bad guys, so I'm going to put a little bit to restore faith in humanity too. Amazing men. About this spot, though, when they realized that, and I'll go quickly for this part because it's yucky, when they realized that they couldn't extort or get any money out of my parents, they brought my mom out here, and before they brought her out here, they took everything of value from her. You see, my mom was never a person to them. She was never a person with a family, and they never thought about how precious she was and everything she contributed. I want to show you this. I got this. My mom's been gone for 2 years. Just a month ago, well, I guess it was September, I get a call from a person who knows a person who knows a person. It's weird. And they said, hey, there's this young couple that lives in the house where the bad guys lived. And they were cleaning, they were doing a deep clean and pulled out the dishwasher, and they found your mom's realtor name badge. Just when you think it's over, right? It's like the punches keep coming. And this really is so symbolic of everything. It's like just broken and discarded. And even to the point that, it makes sense that bad guys would take jewelry, but they even took, most of her clothing off of her. The wife had hung my mother's shirt in her closet. She's going to wear it. I mean, just gross, bottom, just, ugh. Gross people. I'm glad to have this now, but that was a tough day when you get this call and you just kind of feel like, okay, everything bad's happened, and now it's just I learned to deal with it and get through life, and then tough. But after they took items of value from my mom, they were bringing her out here to kill her, and quickly just what they did is after leaving her out here bound on the ground, alive, scared, cold for a number of hours, the bad guy came back. And on his way, he had left the wife just a few blocks up the road while he was going to do the deed, just to finish it. And as he's driving just those few blocks from when he dropped his wife off at this gas station just to this spot, his wife sends him a text. And I don't say this to upset you. I know you get that there are evil people and how the story ends. But the wife is so evil also that she sends him a text in that brief amount of time, knowing this was about to happen. And she says, why don't you just, and this is me editing, why don't you just screw her before you kill her? And luckily he did not do that, thank God. But what he did is that same goofy tape that he had abducted her with, he took a lot of this tape, and he suffocated her with it. And so this was the last spot that she took her last breath, and the ground was really hard, and he wasn't able to bury her very deep, which is a small blessing because it made it easier when law enforcement and investigators were trying to find her. It did make it easier for them to find her. Otherwise, she could just be gone. So, So that's why I'm here, is to try to make some good come from losing my best friend. And I want to tell you, one of the first opportunities I had to speak, I got a call, and I don't really even know how they'd found out that I was open to the opportunity, but from the California Association of Realtors. And they represent something like almost 180,000 realtors in California. And they said, we're going to have this 3-day long conference, and the booklet of all the courses that are offered, I mean, just page after page after page, and the realtors can sign up for whatever interests them. Well, I didn't ask any questions. I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know how they were, kind of selling the session that I was going to be a part of and talking about safety and tightening up. And I get there, and the booklet, I turn to it, and it has no mention of my mom and everything, which was good, because it's like you didn't want, But it was like Safety 101, staying safe in the field. And I go in, and they have all these really strict rules. They're like, stay on script, don't walk around a lot. We're recording you, don't say goofy things. And I mean, clearly it was all tough for me. And I tell you, I was so nervous. And it was one of those where you really want God on your side. So you want to mind your, you be on your best behavior, but you also want to go to the bar and have a shot. So it's like you're so torn. I went for the first one. Anyway, so all of that. And I go into this room, and it could hold hundreds and hundreds of people, a lot more than this room. And I had to speak 3 days in a row. And so first thing in the morning, all 3 days. And so the first session, time's coming, it's getting close to time, and a person comes in, and then another person comes in and sits back there, and another person back there. And I have this hall that would hold, 600 people. It's time to start, and there are 6 people in the audience. And it's not like 6 to where I could just be like, guys, I'm just going to pull up a chair and we'll just have this conversation and we'll send you on about your way. No, it's this most awkward, stranger danger over here, person back there on their cell phone. It's like, dude, why am I here? And so just kind of doing some, soul searching, thinking about what is this? Why am I here? What lesson can I take away with this? And then I was like, well, put yourself in those realtor shoes. You get the opportunity as a realtor to go up to San Jose to a conference to learn how to be a better realtor. You can pick any classes you want to. Are you going to pick safety? No. Neither would I. Okay. So then it got me thinking about how we need leaders everywhere. And it doesn't have to be that you're a leader because you have a crazy title or you're in any position of authority. It just means that you're a person that's passionate about this, and that whenever you have sales meeting or whatever it is, that you're going to be that person to just give a 30-second something or another. Or you're going to be that person in your office that says, you know what, I know that Sally works late and she's here by herself and she has to walk across the parking lot, or I know that maybe the same Sally is doing open houses, and maybe I can be a buddy to that person. Maybe I can help tighten up. We also have to realize, too, that a lot of times when we're talking safety, we're talking things people already know. So we got to get in, we got to make it quick, we've got to make it impactful, and we got to get out. Because if we belabor the point, kind of like I'm doing right now, then you're going to get on people's nerves, right? So it's the challenge of making this relevant and seeing the value in it. I'll tell you, in traveling so much across the country, just what's happening here and what's happening tonight, you're light years ahead of where other people, they're not even having the conversation. Because they're afraid that if you talk to realtors about safety and what happened to my mama, that they're not going to be realtors anymore. Well, that's crazy talk. We don't want to get out of the business. Your business is safe. I mean, you've all been in the business for a long time, right? But we just want to close this risk corridor just in case there is a bad guy that's looking for the opportunity. We're going to shut that sucker down. We've hit on a lot of these. Back to that point, I really, if there's anything, is the lady from Damsel in Defense in here? Did she come in? The Damsel in Defense? Hey, I had the opportunity to be partnered with this lady in Portland, and when I spoke one time, and she got up and she only had about 3 minutes to speak because she had that vendor hat on, and they're like, "Keep it short, sister," and she got up and if I could just, I could never emulate or empower you ladies the way that she empowered, because A, she was amazing, and B, she was female, but she got up and she talked about what I wish my mama would have had that day, just a boldness to just not worry about offending, not worry about, this letting go of this, I'm weak, I'm not a professional, I got this type thing. Just get out of there with a new boldness. And it was really life-changing for me. So I'm sure she could, if y'all can meet with her at some point, she could probably impart some of the same words to you, because I hope, for my mom's sake, for your family's sake, that you can just not be so bold that you're going to try to punch a bad guy in the face, because I really wouldn't recommend that. Fight is always going to be a last resort, but really just be bold to get out of there. Odds are so against you if they take you. Fight them. If it gets to the point that they are trying to take you, they are trying to put you in their car, they are trying to, then you fight. I have since had there are people back home, because this was such big news back home, that the emotionally unstable have come out of the woodworks. And I didn't realize that there's this part of society that really likes to cling on to emotional stories. And there was a lady, and I don't really know what she was trying to do. She had found out where I worked, and she brought me something, and I knew, I was trying to be safe. I had her meet me right outside the guard station, and I told the guard, I was like, just keep your eye on me, I'll be right outside. And she had brought me, a bunch of my mom's obituaries, laminated, and then she was upset, and she was crying, and she's hugging me, and then she starts kind of tugging at me like she's going to pull me into her car. And it's just this weird stuff that, we have to be mindful of. And up until that day, I'd never pushed a woman. I can no longer say that. Sorry about that. One other thing, and I know we don't want to think, especially we're here to talk about safety and not a worst case scenario, but my mom, thank God, talk about a God thing here, my mom's life insurance policy had lapsed 2 weeks before she was taken from us. And her insurance agent noticed it, went to her office and said, "Hey, Beverly, what's going on, chick? Write me a check." The last check that cleared my mom's bank account was to reinstate her life insurance policy, which made the difference of my dad losing everything or not. So anyway, I can also be a spokesperson for that. I do work in health insurance. I don't work in life. I'm not trying to sell y'all life insurance, I promise. That was just a little transparency from our family, because my goodness, that could have been bad. I'm almost finished, guys. I know it's late. This is similar to the pledge that you received earlier, so it's just the great thing about those pledges, and it's in my opinion, it's not even about the signing and necessarily the turning it in, but it's just a moment to just stop and reconnect with some of the dangers that we're not even aware of. You heard before I even started about the resources out here, realtor.org/safety. Oh, and if you want to, because I didn't have those pictures, if you're curious, I have a page on Facebook. It's called Remember Beverly. And I recently, 2 years later, discovered that the funeral home did this most beautiful slideshow of my mom. So if you're just curious, the kind of sweet lady she was, out there on that Remember Beverly page. I posted that video not too long ago. But back to this, there are a bunch. If you're one of those people that you're like, you know what, I'm just going to kind of help. I'm not going to be annoying, but I'm going to just try to help my coworkers be mindful. You can go out there, copy and paste some stuff. They'll never know that they'll think you're brilliant, and all the while you're just a big cheat. With that, that's the last slide I have. Again, I'm really sorry for the rocky start that we had. It's my honor to be here with you all. I get to leave. I'm really going to try to leave about 3:30 in the morning to head back home because we have a Ronald McDonald House reopening in Little Rock, and some great real estate groups have donated to a great memorial that's going to have my mom's name on it there. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, just know, so honored. And you guys always have a friend that's praying for you in Little Rock. So thanks again.
Good job.
Well, first of all, again, we apologize about the technology. It's what you call a beautiful disaster, I guess. Thank you, Mr. Carter. We are so honored to have you, and I still can't believe you agreed to come and speak with us, but we're absolutely honored to have you tonight. Thank you all for attending. We appreciate your support of realtor safety and public awareness. That's what's going to lead the way for change. Of course, we encourage you all to change the way you think. Always be mindful of your safety every day. Promote that awareness. That's what's going to make the change. At this time, we're going to open the floor for Mr. Carter to answer any questions that you might have. Also, any West Central Association of Realtor members, if you haven't turned in your signed pledge and you'd like to do that, you can leave it at the table up front. Last thing is, again, we hope to have your continued support for what we're trying to convey in the future. Thank you all again for coming.
One thing I forgot to mention is that the bad guys went to prison for a very long time.
Did you want to talk about any specific tips that you might have about, what kind of safety measures you want to implement? Did you want to?
Yeah, I can. Are y'all open to that? You want me to shut up? Y'all ready to go home, aren't you?
They can leave anytime though. I guess you don't need this though.
Okay, so I'll just offer this and then I'll be quiet. Actually, before I offer this, related to the justice portion of it, the wife took a plea deal, and so she is in prison for 30 years with the possibility of parole in 21. So she'll at least be in there another 20 years. And then I will be there to remind the court of my sweet mama. But the husband got 2 life sentences with no possibility of parole for capital murder and kidnapping. So good. And not only am I an advocate, and I'll actually be talking to the Arkansas House of Representatives in January when they reconvene about realtor safety, but we talk a lot about victims' rights because poor people that go through the trauma that we've been through, they struggle, and there aren't a lot of resources for them. So we advocate for that too. Related to the one thing that I would say is to not put your confidence in any one thing to keep you safe. I see people that they will download an app and they're like, I'm good, got my app. Or they have a handgun and like, I'm good, got my handgun. And so I would employ you to just have an arsenal of things to keep you safe. God gave you the most powerful tool, which is that intuition and your good brain. But and I would also say, and I know it's not popular, related to the smartphone apps, I don't want to ruin anybody's business model, but be careful of getting into something and spending a monthly fee on this stuff. There are a lot of decent ones that are free. They're not a total fix because we're going to run into rural areas that can be problematic. But I just see that there are a lot of people out there making money and preying on people like you. And they're really, what will happen Think about my mom's case. She could have had the fanciest app in the world, but if she didn't have an app that somehow continued to function when her phone was turned off, it's a done deal anyway. So that's what happened. First thing the bad guy did, snatched her phone and turned it off. Game over. We didn't know where she was. So just be mindful of that. There's good in them, and we like them. I mean, I know of a dozen right off the bat, so that I could talk to you about. But anybody have anything? Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, since that happened, if part of the awareness that you've been making about this, the attention that this has gotten, has it made our 911 systems throughout the different states look maybe within their counties and say, hey, we're not where we need to be? I know ours has, and I didn't know if you knew that was making any headway or not.
I can only speak to just distinct parts of the country. A week ago, last night, I was down in Naples, Florida, and they brought in their sheriff, and he spoke specifically to the 911 issue because they have an issue where they have kind of a small call center to field those calls, and then aside, it's like when that gets overwhelmed, then it goes to like the librarian or something that's not going to be so helpful. And so it was impressive how much the sheriff of Naples, Florida knew about realtor safety as it related to emergency calls. So yes, I've seen some real progress. I will say one thing that is a little maddening for me, and it's a big reason why I'm becoming one of you next month, is that people, I'm just going to say people, agencies, governing bodies, whatever you want to call, they are very cautious to put things in place to keep you safe because they don't want the risk of liability if something happens to you. Because I'm sure you all hear it every day, you're an independent contractor. You're all on your own. And so that's maddening. If there's a part that's maddening to me. So thank goodness for people that are local that say, okay, we can put good things in place and talk all this up and bring awareness without putting things in place where we have to worry about if a realtor has a creepy thing happen to them, then somebody's going to get sued. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
All right, you guys go home. Be with your families. Thank you.